Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this episode we're going to be replacing the inner tie rod and the tie rod end on the Subaru Forester. But before we do all of that in this amazing cloudy day, we're in May and the weather is still a bit shit. Well, we know, we're still hoping. Anyway, before we do that, we need to do a couple of things. We need to move the impressor. To move the chimney, to get the Forester in front of the garage so we can work on it. And while we wait for the tool to arrive, let's get it jacked up and let's get the wheels off. Our next step is going to be try to release this nut here. This is a 19mm nut, but what we're going to do is use a bit of friend right here. There we go, that's nice and loose now. What we're going to remove is this 19mm nut right here. Normally has a safety pin here. My one doesn't have it because I already have this removed 20,000 times, so we're going to get this off and then we're going to go from there. Since we're going to replace the tie rod end and the inner of the rod, we can hammer straight on the tie rod end to remove this from the knuckle. One thing I recommend you to do when you're taking your tie rod end off is, if this is the position that it's going, start turning it anti-clockwise and count every time that it gets to here, 1 revolution, 2 revolutions, you know. So this one was 13, so I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. As you can see, this is a bit fucked anyway, so we're going to be replacing it. The next step is going to be remove this clip, and there's going to be another clip, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but right at the end of this boot we're going to remove that. We're going to remove this boot and then we're going to be able to remove our inner rod. Now we're going to proceed to remove the pins. This is the first one on the front and I'm using just some mall grips, and as you can see it comes right out. Here is our other pin, which is a bit more complicated to get out if you don't have the right tool, but with a screwdriver you should be able to get it off. Once we've removed the pin, the next thing that we're going to have to remove is that boot. And what I did is just right through it, just cut it off. Since we're not going to be using this, there's no point for you to be struggling there, try to get it off. What I would like you to check is if in here there is either a pin, which you can see the hole just there. Let me zoom in on that. So you can see the hole there. There's no pin. There's going to be another hole like that on the other side. And sometimes there's a washer on the back. Since the tool hasn't arrived yet, I'm going to go to the other side and get the other tie rod end off, and we'll check how much play we've got. But as you can see, you shouldn't be able to move it this freely. So yeah, I'm happy with doing it. Let's go on to the other side. As you can see, this is the other side, and yep, fucked as well. So, you know, good thing we're doing it. Let's hope that tool comes today. I've got another tool that I'm going to show you, but I prefer to use the appropriate one, even though we can do it with probably adjustable spanners, we can do it with mall grips. I'm going to show you this tool. Hopefully the proper one comes in today, as it should, not too late hopefully, otherwise we're going to have to carry on tomorrow. The other tool that I've got is this one, which what you do is wrap it around your inner tie rod. Then with this ones you get them tight, you put the extension there and then a breaker bar, and in theory this should take it off. And while we've been doing that, our tool has arrived, so I'll show you in a minute how it actually works. Look at the size of this, Jesus. So this is the tool that we're using. First of all, we need to know which size is the one that we need for our inner tie rod. Basically, we're gonna need a 32.5, and what it does is that slides on top of those two flat spots that you go on your inner tie rod, just like this. This is gonna be located here, located there, just like that. And then, as you can see, this one have this safety mechanism, which you slide this over it, and then this won't be able to slide in or out. Once we got the right size over the inner tie rod, we put this in place, and it locks as I showed you before. And here you can put a breaker bar, a torque wrench, whatever you've got is going to be 1/2 inch, like this. And in theory, that is out. And here it is, the inner tie rod. And all we're going to do now is reverse the process. So let's get to it. One thing that's very important to do, and not just with this but with every single part that you fit, is compare it to the old one. Let's make sure these two are the same length. What I'm going to do now, this is completely up to you, you don't have to do it, but I'm going to. Basically, I'm going to put my torque wrench here, make sure it's in, make sure this is where it should be, and then I'm going to torque it to 78 Newton meters, around 58 foot-pounds. Once you're happy with your inner tie rod, what we're going to do is put a new boot in there. Actually, no, I'm lying. Let's get this fucking nut out. My one doesn't come with clips, it came with the cable ties, which I'm not that bothered. I will just keep an eye on them, just in case. Don't forget to put your nut back on. What we're going to do now is just push this all the way back, put our cable ties, and I'll catch up with you when I finish with that. Now we're installing our track rod, then just remember the amount of turns that it took you to get the old one off, and just reverse the process. If the alignment on your vehicle was spot on before you replace these parts, you can lock the nut just like this. And what we're going to do is put our track rod end back into our knuckle. What we're going to do is move the knuckle until it meets with the track rod end, and then we're going to put the nut and we're going to torque it to 27 Newton meters, and then put our pin. Unless you're new to the channel, you know how this goes. We gotta do the other side. You don't have to watch it, but I have to do it, so let's crack on. Once we've got both of them fitted, there's one thing we have to check, and that's our alignment. Now, you can take it to a shop to do a proper alignment, which I'll probably end doing, but we want to make the car at least drive as straight as possible. So check this out. If you come to this side, you can see this one is pointing outwards. What I'm going to do is give this one more turn inwards, and on the other side we're going to get one turn outwards and see what happens, see if they are both straight or almost straight. Instead of explaining in the car what I'm doing in terms of tracking the car, I'm going to show you here because it's a bit easier. So your tie rod end, your inner rod, okay? So we can either wind it in or wind it out, okay? The difference is, if you wind in, the front of your tire is going to come inwards. If you wind it out, it's going to push the front of your tire outwards. What we want is our two tires facing forward as straight as it can be, and we want our steering wheel straight as well. Now, there are many ways that you can actually track your car yourself. I have no tools for tracking. I have no plates, or I mean, I could have done it with the jack stands and put the piece of string to the back of the car and then do it that way. But in reality, if your car, like my one for example, it wasn't straight before, it was a bit off, you can do it this way, get it as close as you can, and then you just take it to a shop. For here in the UK, I think the place that I trust is I think it's £45 that it cost us to actually do the tracking. So you know, it's a no-brainer. But yeah, as I said, just get it as close as you can. If you're happy with it, just leave it. If you wanted to get it done by the machine, by the lace or whatever they use, just get as close as you can and take it to the garage. This is going to be it for this video. I hope you learned something. I learned that I can actually track the car quite almost exactly where I want it. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy with how the car drives now. The fact that we got no play. And yeah, and you know how this goes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you do. And I shall see you very shortly. Bye.